now. We're about to move on to our percentages. So let's get on into it. We'll go back up here. So percentage calculation. We've got this smart chicken we had yesterday. He doesn't look as smart here now. But he is super smart. You might have seen him yesterday. He's super smart. So when we're doing our big brain chicken, guys, right, it's big brain chicken. So when we are doing when we're looking for the percentage of a number, there's two steps you can do. Now, I know that some people do it slightly differently. Some people use a fraction method. It's absolutely fine if you do a fraction method. If you did do a fraction method, that's fine, but I'm going to show you this method first. So you divide by 100, and then you multiply by whatever you need to get. So you're dividing 100 because that will give you 1, and then if you multiply it by their number, by the number you're looking for, then you will get the percent you're looking for. Okay, so let me see. The first example I've got here is find 30% of 200. So again, my first step, my step one, is 200 divided by 100 equals, what does 200 divided by 100 equal, guys? Just the first part, 200 divided by 100. What do you think? Okay, so some people have it. Some people are a bit unsure, but that's okay. So, okay, loads of people said it there. So 200 divided by 100 actually equals 2. And there's two ways you can think about this. So first of all, whenever you're dividing by 100, if there are zeros at the end, you can cancel off 2 zeros. So you can put a line through them like this. And that shows the answer is 2. The reason it is cancelling off 2 zeros is, think about it, there's 2 zeros in 100. So when you cancel off the zeros, you're cancelling off 2 because there's 2 zeros in 100. The other way to think about it is when we divide by 100, we move the decimal point twice. So in any number, the decimal point comes just after it. If they don't tell you where the decimal point is, it's always just after the number. And we're going to move it twice, again, because there's 2 zeros in 100. We're going to move it twice. So if I move it once, it's between the 2 zeros. And then if I move it twice, it is between the 2 and the 0. So the answer is 2. Hopefully that makes sense. You don't need to write this down. You don't need to write this down yet. We'll do a few examples. We'll do a few questions ourselves. So this method is, I don't actually know the name for it. I know, Lucy, you're asking about the name for it. But it's basically where you calculate 1%. So when you divide 100 by anything by 100, you're getting 1% of it. And then when you multiply it by the percentage you're looking for, so in this case, we're looking for 30. So I bring down my 2 and I multiply it by 30, and that equals 60. So 60 is our answer. We're multiplying by 30. This 30, I didn't pull it out of thin air. It came because we're looking for 30% of something. So that's where it came from. And the 2 came from when we divided 200 by 100 and you multiply it by 30. So 60 is 30% of 200. Okay. The best way to do these ones, guys, is to, Guy, you got it. Good stuff, Guy. So the best way to do these is to actually do the questions. That's how you figure these out sometimes. So I'm going to write up here the little hints at the top. Yeah, and Katie has a good question there. So they're saying, if you turn 30% into 3/10 and then worked it like that, so if you multiply the answer by 3/10, you'll also get it. So if you're doing the fraction method, you're multiplying, in this case, 200 by 3/10. So it's the same thing. It's just I'm doing it in 2 separate steps. But if you make it into a fraction, you're doing it in 1 step. But it's very similar. So back to our method. So you're going to divide by 100. You're always dividing by 100. And then you're going to multiply by 20 because they're looking for 20%. So step one is going to be 100 divided by 100. And what does that equal? Step two, your answer, you're going to multiply it by 20. And that will give you your final answer of what 20% of 100 is. Yeah, you can write this down, guys. So if you want to write one down, you can write down this one here now. And that will help you to remember it. So when you're doing your question, you can correct it yourself if you get it wrong. And then that will help you when you can look back at it when you're doing other questions. Great stuff. Loads of people have the answers there. Orna, you're asking a great question there. So when you divide 100 by 100, it actually equals 1. Any number divided by itself equals 1. So if we had 7 divided by 7, that equals 1. So what that's saying, if we have 7 divided by 7, it's saying how many 7s are in 7. And there's only one 7 in 7. Another example, 8 divided by 8 equals 1. A million divided by a million will equal 1. So any number divided by itself will always equal 1. So I can't go back up to the other one, guys, just so that we can keep it moving. But you can take down this one if you want, and you can write down the instructions on the top left. Just while some people are finishing off, can people let me know if they got the results to their test yesterday? Can you just say in the chat yes or no if you got it or didn't? I think some people did and some people mightn't have. Okay. Looks like a lot of people are saying no, so they mustn't have gone out yet, guys. Okay. Some people don't know. I don't think they've gone out yet. Because I know Juliet, you were asking that question, so I don't think the corrected ones have gone back yet. But I'll double check. Oh, I just see there, all results are going out on Friday. That's what I just saw there now. Emil just told me there. So we'll correct them all during the week and send them all back to you on Friday. So I hope that's okay, guys. Is that okay, Juliet? Stuff. Okay, brilliant. So that's why nobody has them yet, because they haven't been sent out. So we are still working here. 100 divided by 100 equals 1. Then you do 1 multiplied by 20, and that equals 20. So that makes sense. 20% of 100 equals 20. That makes sense because 100 is the total number. We're looking for 20% of it, and that equals 20. Okay, super. Let's move on to the next question. 70% of 200. So again, you're going to divide by 100 once again. I'll write the instructions in the top left. And then you're going to multiply it by 70 this time. No problem if you didn't get to do the test yesterday. Hopefully this one will be working for you and you'll get a chance to do it. Okay, the answers are flying in. Make sure you're putting the answers in the chat, guys. I can see everybody who's putting them in. So make sure you are putting it in, even if it's just a guess. So, great question there from Ruth. So they're asking, why are we doing 200 divided by 100? But in the last question, it was 100 divided by 100. And it's a great question. So in the last question, we were looking for 20% of 100. So 100 was the full number, and we're looking for 20% of it. But this time, 200 is the full number. So 200 is what they're showing in the question. And then we're dividing by 100. The reason we're dividing by 100 is to get 1% of it. So we're always dividing by 100 to get 1%. So it'll always be dividing by 100. And then in the question, they'll tell you what number you need to divide. So in this case, it's 200 divided by 100. And that will give your answer. Super. Loads of answers in the chat there. Loads of answers. Great stuff. No problem if you didn't get a chance to write these down. The main thing is that if you can do them now, you'll be absolutely perfect. And you'll be able to look back at these examples as well. So 200 divided by 100 equals 2. So again, you can think about it. 200 divided by 100. You can think about you're canceling off your zeros, or you can also think about that you're moving your decimal point. So the decimal point is here, moves between, moves again. So the answer is 2. So now we've got 2 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 70, and that will equal 140. And I saw a lot of 140s in the chat. So big up to you if you got that one. Big pat on the back. Well done. We will keep it moving, guys. So just if you need to correct that one, I'll give a second. If anybody needs to correct that one and they just need to change something so that they have the right one written down, you can do that now. But I can see a lot of people did get it right as well. So I'll just give 30 seconds. So I can see there, Aaron, you're asking, do we not divide by 10? So, oh, I can see what you're saying, Aaron. So Erin is kind of creating a little shortcut for herself. So what she's saying is she's going to get rid of 1 0 here and 1 0 here, and then she'll divide by 10 multiplied by 7. And well, would that work? We'd be left with, yeah, that would work too. That's absolutely fine if you want to do it that way, Erin. Again, that's the beauty of maths. You can do it your own little way. So that's perfect. Okay, we'll keep moving. This one now. This one is a bit trickier. So it's 20% 250. So the last ones we had were ending in 2 zeros. This one now is a bit trickier. You're going to divide by 100. Again, you're always dividing by 100. This time, you're going to multiply by 20 because 20 is in, it's 20% we're looking for. So step 1, you're going to divide by 100. Step 2, you're going to multiply by 20. Good question there, Lavinia's iPad. Not sure what your real name is. It could be Lavinia, it could be someone else, but great question regardless. You said, what happens if the number is less than 100? So if the number is less than 100, what would end up happening is you'd be multiplying with a decimal. So you'd be using a decimal and you'd have to multiply it. So that's what would happen. So for example, if we had 90 divided by 100, and I'm looking for 10%, 20%. So when I divide 90 by 100, it would equal 0.9. And then I'm going to multiply it by 20, and it would equal 18. So that's what would happen there. Just to give you a pretty quick answer there. Okay, so and there is a bit of decimal in this question. You're exactly right. Some people have just noticed that there's a decimal in this question because it goes, and I'll show you the first part, and that might help you then answer it. So we've got 250, and we're dividing by 100. And this is a tough one. Don't worry, Samantha, this is a tough one. So 250 divided by 100. This was one where I said, you can't just cancel your zeros. This time you need to move your decimal point. So what I mean by that is we have 250, and the decimal point in 250 is just behind the 0. So everyone just look at that for a second. Look in this black box here. We're looking at this 250. And the decimal point is after the 0. That's where the decimal point is. Now, we're going to move it twice. Type into the chat why you think we're going to move the decimal point twice. So type it into the chat now. Why are we going to move the decimal point twice, if you know it? So this is one of the most important. It's okay if you don't know it. I'm going to explain it again. But if you do know it, put it into the chat. Great stuff. Rian, Lavinia. Someone's saying because why not? Juliet's got it. Saoirse, great stuff. So you're going to move it twice because there are 2 zeros in 100. So there's 2 zeros in 100. So you're going to move the decimal point twice. We're dividing it by 100, so we're moving the decimal point twice. If we move it once, it's between the 5 and the 0. But if we move it twice, it ends up between the 2 and the 5. So it ends up between the 2 and the 5. So the answer is 2.5. So 2.5 is what we get when we divide 250 by 100. Now we're on to 2.5 multiplied by 20. So if you didn't get the first time, have another go at it now. Just be careful when you're doing 20 multiplied by 2.5. That's the way you should write it down. And I'll show you exactly how to do that multiplication in a second. So 2.5. If you did 2.5 multiplied by 2, it would equal 5. That's just a hint. So if you did 2.5 multiplied by 2, it would equal 5. So what will 2.5 multiplied by 20 be? Great stuff. Orna has it there. Jason, Michael, Elizabeth, great stuff. Jacob, Lavinia, Isabel, Rian. Super, super. So this is just a little side on how to do multiplying decimals. So we're doing decimals earlier. It comes back into play here. Rory, I didn't see your answer there. So if you could, your question, so send it again if you want. I can see your message right now, but if you had another question that I missed, send it again. So 20 multiplied by 2.5. So I'm going to do 5 multiplied by 0 is 0. 5 multiplied by 2 is 10. 2 multiplied by 0, or I just forgot to put down my magic 0, the automatic 0, magic 0, whatever you call it, you've put down a 0. 2 multiplied by 0 is 0. And then 2 multiplied by 2 is 4. When we add all of that up, you might think that equals 500. What's going on here? But in the question, there's one number after the decimal point, this 5 here. There's only one number after a decimal point. So that means that we move our decimal point in one place. So our final answer is 50. Our final answer is 50. So if anybody wants to take this down, please do now. Just, it might help you if you're a bit unsure. Take it down. I'm just going to delete this stuff because that was for an example of a question. So if you need to take this down, please do that now. And we will be finished in about 10 minutes, guys. Yeah, Rory sounds like you're using a fraction method as well. That's absolutely fine. So that's no problem at all if that's what you find easier. Okay, so the test will be just in a couple of minutes. I'll just give another 30 seconds if anybody needs to take this down. And actually, while you're waiting, guys, if you're finished taking it down, you can see the next question is down here as well. So find 40% of 420. Find 40% of 420. If you do it the fraction way, Ava, that's absolutely fine. So this is just the way that I'm showing it now. But there's different ways, different teachers teach it different ways. So if you prefer the fraction,